Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all of your questions that you've asked over the course of the week, and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. So first of all, thank you very much for all the questions that you have asked over the course of the last week. I really appreciate it. Like I said on this channel before, I don't have time to reply to everybody's comment. If I did, it'd be a full-time job, but that's why I do the Q&As. I try to answer everybody's questions. So if you have a question and you want it answered, leave it in the comments to this video and I'll answer it for the next week. Now, I typically film the Q&As on a Wednesday, so if you want to pretty much guarantee that I'm going to answer the question, make sure you ask it before sort of Wednesday, and then it will pretty much be answered. There's some great questions this week. In case you don't know, I don't really look at the questions beforehand. I scan over them, but I like to try and answer them on the fly because I think you get a more honest answer that way. And then if there's a question that deserves a longer answer, I'll do a video on it at a later date on Magic TV. So now you know, let's go straight into this week's questions. So the first question is by Mooney D911. How you doing, Mooney D911? I hope you're well. Thanks, Craig, for being one of the very, very few reviewers left in the magic industry that's honest with your thoughts and reviews. You're more than welcome. That really means a lot that you've pointed that out. How do you go about ensuring you don't forget all the tricks you learn? I find it hard to remember the old effects when I'm learning new ones. Well, that's a really good question, to be honest. And if I said that I'd never forgotten tricks that I learned years ago, I would be lying. However, I find it very easy to relearn them. So if there's a trick that you like, you know, if we're talking about an older trick, it's normally a trick that you've kind of got down and you like performing it and you're worried that one day you might lose your memory about how to actually do it or the moves or whatever or so on and so forth. There's a couple of different options here. Now, what I tend to do is I tend to have notes on my phone. I use the note app just all the time, and I have so many different notes, and I have notes on different tricks, and I'll have the name of the trick, and what I'll have in there is I'll have brief outline of what it is. So what the effect is, one sentence what the effect is, one sentence on what the moves are, and then one sentence on any of the notes that I might have. That way I can go back, and that normally all I need is those cliff notes and I can kind of replicate it. Now, my friend Nemid Phoenix, he tends to go way further in that direction. He films every single trick he's ever learned. Every single trick he's ever learned, he does a performance to camera, and then he saves it in a hard drive. And he's got performances of every trick he's ever learned, every trick he ever wants to learn, and he's constantly updating it. I mean, I'm never going to be that organized. I mean, that is just a ridiculous level of organization. But it depends on how bad your memory is or how organized that you want to be. It's completely up to you. The other thing is you can just make sure that you're constantly practicing. I did a video on this channel, I think a couple of weeks ago, where I talked about effective ways of practicing. One thing that you want to make sure of is you're practicing the old tricks. One thing that we forget to do sometimes as magicians is we're constantly learning new magic and new tricks and new moves, and we forget about the old stuff. And it's really important to practice the old stuff because that's the stuff that we're normally really good at. So constantly practicing the tricks that you like and making it fun, and you can go back and look at that video I did on practicing if you want more information on that. That's a big thing, to be perfectly honest. But if you want to definitely remember everything, try to be a bit more organized with it, whether you make notes on a phone like me, or you have handwritten notes and you have them in files, or maybe you have videos that you've done like Nemid does. Doesn't really matter, but it's really important to make sure that you have some sort of method of remembering this stuff. Because ultimately you will forget it. You know, as new things come in, you can only remember so much, and there's just certain tricks that you'll forget. And I've done it, and I've looked at somebody performing a trick. This happened recently. Somebody was performing a trick to me. I was like, that's amazing. Where did you get that from? And it's like, oh, it was yours. I learned it. I was locked in a room without coins, and I just couldn't remember creating that trick or publishing that trick at all. So it happens an awful lot. So yeah, just be organized with it, I think, is probably the biggest piece of advice that I can give you. So the next question is not really a question, it's more of a statement. It's from Dennis Blanchard, and it's like, just a thank you to Craig for giving so much content to the community. I barely have enough time to watch all your videos. Your YouTube channel alone is a master course in magic. Again, you are appreciated. And I really appreciate that, Dennis. I really do, more than you could possibly imagine. I do get quite a lot of negative comments, so seeing positive comments like that just makes it all worthwhile. Just so you know, Magic TV was never intended to be something that you watch every single video. I think a lot of people I speak to, they have certain things that they definitely like. Some people are like, I love the interviews. I always watch the interviews. Some people are really into the reviews. Some people are into the 5x5s because I do a lot of live performances in there, and I do the commentary tracks over the live performances. A lot of people like that. Some people like the Q&As. The Q&As are always popular videos. I remember when I started the Q&As and I was like, nobody's going to watch it. I had a few questions. So I was like, I'm going to do a Q&A. And it was amazing how quickly the Q&A videos just blew up, which was amazing to see. I'd like to know, actually, is there anybody on Magic TV that watches all of the videos religiously? I would love to know if there's somebody out there that watches all the content I put up, because I would be very impressed if there is. Okay, so the next question is by Adrian Sutter, and Adrian says, hi, Craig. It's Adrian again. Hi, Adrian. Hobbyist from Switzerland, I remember. Thank you for answering my questions about hobbyists and your interesting tips on impromptu magic. I also liked your remarks on the jerk. Since you're also a motivational speaker, can you point me to tricks or other resources on how to make the spectator the star? I don't like the, oh, I'm so powerful magician, you are a stupid spectator performance style that some magicians use. I totally get where you're coming from. That performance style, I do sometimes go down that route. And depending on the audience, I think it's really important to pick your audience and pick your crowd. When I'm performing in somewhere like a military base where everyone's like kind of very laddie, that would be a style that I might consider using. It very much depends on the environment in which you're performing. In terms of being me as a motivational speaker, I don't really do a motivational so I get booked to do talks on business success. That's kind of my niche. And whether you're a magician or a motivational speaker or whatever, you got to have a niche. Now, my niche is business success. So I get booked by companies and various different organizations to talk to their staff or their customers or whatever it may be about business success, how to actually make a business a success. And I talk about lots of different factors in there. And I use the magic. The magic isn't really kind of front and foremost with me. A lot of motivational magicians or magicians that do motivational speaking, it's all about the magic. For me, the point about the magic with me is I use it as a bit of a credibility thing. So in other words, hey, my name's Craig. I'm a magician. Many years ago, I was literally a one-man band, hardly making any money, barely able to get by on nothing more but pop noodles and baked beans. Fast forward a few years now, I run 3 companies and so on and so forth. And they're all in the entertainment industry, and it's all to do with magic. So I use it as a way of establishing credibility. And I do magic in my when I'm talking about motivation, when I'm talking about business success. I do magic, but it's really just to illustrate a point. So for example, I'll do a Rubik's Cube thing where I throw it in the air and solve it. And I'll say to them, there's millions and millions and millions of combinations with Rubik's Cubes, and a Rubik's Cube is very similar to starting a business. And I say to them, I wish I had a Rubik's Cube. I said the reason to them is when you first look at a Rubik's Cube, you can see exactly what it's meant to be. It's all crystal clear. This is the green side. This is the yellow side. This is the red side. It's a bit like starting a business. When you first have a business plan, it makes sense. You've thought it out. It's logical. But then you start thinking of ideas. You start making decisions in your business. And as I say that, I mix up the cube. I say, then you start making decisions in your business. And when you do start making decisions, you end up in a situation where your business plan now looks nothing like you expected it to look. So you're forced to make other decisions. And those other decisions lead you in a completely different direction to when you look at your business and you think, well, there's no way this is going to be where I wanted it to be. It is completely unfixable. I am going to quit because I'm never going to get this right. And I use it as an illustration of why business owners quit. And then I say, because the thing with Rubik's Cubes is there's this thing called God's number, which is 20. In other words, it doesn't matter how much you mix up a Rubik's Cube, it's only 20 moves away from being solved. All you have to know is the moves, and you have to have blind faith that those moves will lead you to success. You're normally a lot closer to success than you would think, as long as you believe you are and you know the moves. And in that, I solve the Rubik's Cube by throwing it up in the air. And I say, so next time you're in a situation where you feel like quitting in your business, that's a common thing. But remember, you're closer to success than you think. Think like a Rubik's Cuber. So I don't really, the reason I illustrate that to you is I don't really do, when I'm booked as a speaker, I probably do 1 or 2 tricks, and neither one of them are framed as a magic trick. It's framed to illustrate a point that I'm trying to make in terms of business success and how people, because a lot of people that come to me as a motivational speaker, they're not looking for magic tricks, they're looking for actionable stuff that they can do within their business to take their business to a next level. Maybe they're struggling in business or whatever it may be. Having said all of that, you want resources on how to make the Spectator the star. I published a trick many, many years ago in a DVD called Flipped Out, called Empowerment. Now, I'm re-releasing this through Penguin at some point, but it's called Empowerment. And the whole idea is that you show, it's a coin to cross, basically, with a flipper coin. It's a coin to cross with a flipper coin, but it was framed so that the spectator does the vanishes and does the reappearances. So the spectator does the vanishes, and the whole concept behind it is, you know what, I could do magic, but let's make you the star. And the idea is each coin that they vanish, the coins are put in their hand and they vanish each coin. They make each coin appear in the spectator's hand, and they even make the final coin disappear out of their own hand. And it's called Empowerment, and it's exactly what you're talking about. And it's one of my favorite routines to perform, especially if I'm in a situation where I've got an alpha male. So I've been in a gig, and you know those gigs where you've got like a whole bunch of people, there's a whole bunch of men and women, and there's that one guy that's maybe feeling a little bit threatened that you're there. Before anything, I will make that. I'll say, sir, I'm going to make you the star. You're obviously the star of this group. I'm going to make you the star of the show. You are going to be the person that's going to do this trick. Would you please help me and be the star of the show? And I'll do it in that environment, in that situation, and it always kills. And it's that concept of empowering the spectator. And you can apply that empowerment concept to so many other routines. So Russell Leeds, in his Banding Around DVD that came out millions of years ago now, he put in empowerment, which was based on my coin routine, but he did it with elastic bands. So he had this routine where he's got 3 elastic bands, and the spectators hold the elastic bands and make them disappear one at a time in their hands, which was really, really good. Another great example of empowering the spectator is with The Solution, which is Michael Murray's Behind the Back Spectator Solves the Rubik's Cube, which is a great finale to Rubik's Cube magic, and something that sometimes I'll put into me as a motivational speaking gig, because another thing that I talk about is self-belief. And knowing that, you know, if you believe in yourself, if you genuinely believe in yourself, then you can accomplish anything. But if you don't believe in your plan A, how can anybody else be expected to believe in your plan A? You have to believe in yourself first before you can get other people to believe in you. And I'll use the Michael Murray routine for that, which if you don't know what it is, you give a spectator a Rubik's Cube, they put it behind their back, they mix it behind the back, and, you know, it's they solve it behind their back, basically. And it's incredible, incredible. So that's another example of how you can empower the spectator. A lot of the time, you can just look at routines and you can kind of say, well, I could structure that routine. I could structure that routine. So, for example, sandwich routine. You know, most magicians will do a sandwich routine by taking the 2 black aces, waving them over the pack, and the card appears. Well, what you could do is you could take the 2 black aces, load the card in between it, take the have the spectator cut the deck, and this is a very Darwin Ortiz style routine. Have the spectators cut the deck, put the 2 black aces in there, do a ribbon spread hideout so that you then spread the deck on the table, and you can say, look, you put the 2 black aces there. You've done everything. You're going to do this yourself. Square up the cards yourself. Snap the fingers yourself. Spread the cards out yourself. Oh, you're amazing. So you can frame a trick that is done one way in a completely different way, just with a bit of thought, right? Ambitious card. Rather than you making the cards to come to the top of the pack, you make them. Every time you snap your fingers, the card's going to come to the top of the pack. So making the spectator the star, to get back to your original question, it's just about thinking about how to frame your existing routines. You don't really need resources on new tricks that you can do, although there are tricks out there that will fit perfectly. A lot of the time, it's just about how you can actually frame the spectator to empower them to do the trick and make them the star. Hopefully that helps. Okay, so the next question is from Rich Relish, and Rich says, Firstly, what's your favourite recorded reaction to a magic trick from one of your office staff, and could you play it, please? My office staff love magic. Like, they absolutely love magic. Reagan, who is amazing. This hasn't been put on camera yet, but the other day, we haven't filmed it, but the other day, I just went into her office and I was like, hey, Reagan, I want to show you a trick. And she's used to me coming up all the time. I said, can I borrow one of the elastic bands off your desk? And I took the elastic band off and I did the Hansen Chen hardest rubber band. I was like, think about your favourite thing. Now, seriously, she's single. Think about your favourite thing. Think about it for a minute. Think about your favourite thing. Open up your hand. And it obviously turned into like the shape of a penis. She was wetting herself. Tears running down her face for about 5 minutes. But that's not on camera. Matt is one of the best people to react, because Matt just genuinely loves magic. He absolutely just loves magic. So you want me to play a reaction of something Matt's done? I'll do that. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not going to tell you right now, because when I'm editing this, I'll look through for what I think is my favourite reaction. I'll play that, and if I can find it, I'm going to play my favourite trick that I ever did on Matt. Which is the Prop Dog hydrostatic glass. We put this on TikTok way before the pandemic even started. So if I've still got that, I'll find that and I'll play these two videos for you as you asked. So one's going to be my favourite performance. It's probably going to be with Matt. And then the second one is my favourite ever performance. Not for the reaction, because of how I framed the trick. And I'll show you that as well. Hey, Matt, you want to see a trick? You want to see a trick?
I'm not, yeah.
No, you're going to love this. Look, put your finger in there. Check it out.
In the water?
It's water, yeah? Yeah? I'm going to, okay, watch this. I'm going to cover it up with my hand, right? I'm going to come over like this. You're going to love it. No, watch. 3, 2, 1. Matt, come on. How good's that?
That's quite impressive.
You can actually see it suspended in midair. Seriously, have a look underneath. I'm here with Matt.
You are.
And this uses your imagination. I've got a little purse in here. There's nothing in there. Would that be fair?
Yeah, empty.
Hopefully, you can see there's nothing in there. Hopefully, in a minute, we're going to use your imagination. We're going to make something appear inside there. Hold your hand out for me. And just put your other hand on top. Now, I want you to imagine that we've got a deck of cards here. It's a deck of 52 playing cards.
Yeah.
And we're going to remove either the picture cards or the number cards. Which ones do you want to remove? The pictures or the numbers?
Numbers.
Okay, so we're going to remove the numbers. That leaves us with the picture cards, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to drop them all down there. So all the picture cards are here. And I'm going to pick up either the male picture cards or the female picture cards. Would you like me to pick up the males or the females?
Females.
So the females. So we're going to pick up the 4 queens, yes?
Yeah.
So that's the Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Clubs, the Queen of Spades, and the Queen of Diamonds. You have one last choice. When I snap my fingers, you're going to name any one of those 4 queens. It's completely up to you which one you name. Could you do that right now?
Hearts.
You sure?
Yeah.
Want to change your mind?
No.
Okay, lift up your hand. Let's see if we've been able to turn imagination into reality. Well, what's in there?
Nothing.
Nothing, right? This is where you need to use your imagination. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Concentrate. Snap your fingers.
Snap my fingers?
Yeah. What do you see inside there now?
What the What? No, that better not be the Queen of Hearts, dude. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, it just appeared, right? What was the name of the card again? What was the card?
Fuck off.
What was the card?
Queen of Hearts.
Are you serious? That one.
That was fucking empty. That was empty.
I know.
And in my hand.
But then you used your imagination.
But that's not a thing.
You can have that.
Of course it is.
Oh no, you've stopped imagining now. You need to keep imagining. Anyway. And sleep. Right.
That was in my hand.
Okay, so the next question is from Nessie Roswell, and Nessie says, "Hey Craig, I'm not new to magic, but over the years I've gotten used to saying no to performing tricks, and now I'm at the swing of things. Do you have any recommended quick, easy effects to get someone going again?" Well, you know what? I would just go with some self-working stuff that you really enjoy performing. I think that's the most important thing. If you want to get your confidence as a performer, you do stuff where you don't have to worry too much about technique. You don't have to worry too much about the presentation because the magic is so strong. And it can be anything. You know, sometimes we are reluctant to do tricks that we consider to be beginner tricks because they're so easy. But sometimes the reactions are great. I did a gig the other day and genuinely I did dynamic coins. Now, I'm a pretty good coin magician. I can do a lot with coins. And yet I did dynamic coins at a gig and it absolutely killed. So just pick some stuff that you really... It also has to be something you're passionate about. I could sit here forever and say to you, you know what? Why don't you just do a cut deeper force or a cross cut force? Because sometimes we forget how powerful a cross cut force can be. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to put it over there. You know, that's your time misdirection after they've cut the deck and it matches perfectly. Or do an out of this world or something, but you might not be into that sort of magic. You might not be into card magic. So there's two elements to this. The first element is it's got to be something you enjoy, because if you're not passionate about it, it's going to make it difficult for you. And then secondly, it's got to be something that's really easy that you're comfortable with as well. And I don't know what makes you nervous. I'm guessing now you're at the swing of things. You know, maybe you're a little bit nervous going into that performing environment. Is it messing up? In which case, do something that couldn't possibly go wrong. Or is it presentationally, in which case do something where there's very little presentation involved. And then just start performing, and before you know it, you'll get the bug. You know, that's the thing about magic. That's the thing about performing. Magic is a performing art. It's designed to be performed. And yeah, there's magical historians out there, and that's fine. And there's people who like watching magic and not performing magic, and that's fine. And Sarah, my wife, is one of those people. And she'd never perform, but she loves watching, and she practices stuff from time to time. But ultimately, if you want to get the most enjoyment out of a magic trick, the best way to do it is to share that magic with other people. So pick an easy trick, pick a simple trick, go out there and just start performing. Okay, so the next question is from Ben LePage, and Ben says, "Hey Craig, what tips do you have for carrying individual gimmicked cards, some of which can be quite fragile, but still work well in the real world? For example, a Sharpie through card, etc., and getting them in and out of play when performing with cards at a strolling gig?" It's a great question. It's something that's not really discussed, is there? Is it? So I've got so many cards here. I've got a deck of Della cards there. That's perfect. So it's not got cellophane here, but that's a shame. But we'll go for this. Okay, so it is Della's deck. Yes, there's a double backer. So there's a couple of different ways, and you kind of have to think ahead, because you're not going to take every single gimmick with you, are you, before you go? So the first thing that I would suggest is, in your close-up case, keep each individual gimmicked card in a pay envelope style envelope, and write on it, write the name of that gimmick on the card. This is my Sharpie through card. This is my Henry Evans Rising card. Whatever it may be, write on there what it is. I think that's really important, right? So you write on there what it is, and you keep those in your close-up case, or you keep them in where you keep your magic or something. That'll keep them nice. You don't want to keep them in the packaging. It's going to just overload, and you don't want to just keep them loose or keep them in decks, because you'll lose them. And then when you go to a gig, or when you go into a place where you're going to be performing, pick which gimmick cards you're going to take, and take like 2 or 3 of them. And no more. Now, one option is to have the gimmick card start off on top of the deck, or the position it needs to be in. Let's use Sharpie through card, for example. It needs to be on top of the deck. So have the gimmick card on top of the deck, right? Start off with the gimmick card on top of the deck. So you go into the routine. You start off by doing the Sharpie through card. You then put the Sharpie away. Done. That's the easiest way to do it, because keeping it on top of the deck that you know you're performing with is going to keep it nice and safe. Now, getting it out the deck, I always think that the best way to do it is to just say, let's do another trick. Can I take the Joker as out first of all, very quickly? And if you've got 2 gimmicked cards, if you've got 1 gimmick card, just make sure there's a Joker in there. Up jog the gimmick card, up jog the Joker, and then you can kind of flash the Jokers as you put them away, and you've got rid of the gimmick card. And you can put them in your top pocket. I tend to put them in my top pocket. Jacket pocket, top jacket pocket, unless I'm wearing a switcher too. or into my shirt pocket. Don't put them into your trouser pocket, because the trousers, if you're bending down, or the jeans, that's where it's going to get wrecked. A back pocket is okay as long as you're not going to sit down. So that's the first thing. And then when you walk away from that group of people, make sure to get that card out and put it back on top of the deck. Now, the other way to do it, and I don't think I've got a deck of cards here that's actually got cellophane on it. Yes, I have. I have no idea. This is probably going to be a gimmick deck, because I'm reaching over to my gimmick deck pile. What do we have? Oh, Blackpool. What we have here is a gimmick deck of cards. So let me just put that gimmick deck away for a minute, that you don't see it. There we go. Let's pretend this is here. So the other way that you can do it is by having the gimmicked card underneath the cellophane that's in the card box. So you can have the gimmick card here underneath the cellophane, right? And this is an old method, but this works really, really well. So you can open up the deck, and if you want to do anything with the deck, you can just take the cards out, and you can leave that card in position there. Okay, so you can leave that card there. You can do whatever routine that you want to do. When you want to add that gimmicked card, there's a couple of options. The first option is you can put the cards on top of the card case, and you can pull on the half moon cutout and take that card away. You can see that card's come away underneath the deck. Or if you want it on top of the deck, you can do exactly the same with the deck face up. The other option is you can have the deck inside the box. You can put the deck back inside the box, and when you take it out, you can literally just pull that card out with it. So you just pull that card out and it's there. So that's the second way of doing it. The final way of doing it is, and if you're doing that, by the way, and you are using a card box, I have no problem at all at the end of the routine, at the end of that particular trick, ditching the gimmick card by saying, let me get rid of the jokers, and rather than putting them in the pocket, you just put them away in the card box. You put the jokers away in the card box. It's a very natural thing to do in front of laymen, but now you've got the gimmick card out of the way, right? The negative is you can't use the card box for anything, so you can't do card in the box or anything, but that's an option. And then the final thing is what you can do is, and this is again an old bit, you can take the deck of cards, put it in, and if the gimmick card's on top, if you squeeze the sides like this, you can insert the flap into the deck so it goes in between the top card, which is the gimmicked card, and the rest of the deck. So now you've got the deck, and when you want to go into a trick, you can bring the deck out, and I can squeeze the sides of the card box, put my forefinger there, and what I can do is I can keep that gimmicked card in the card box, turn the mouth towards you. I've taken out the cards, I've left that gimmick card there. So now I can hand these out to be shuffled, or do whatever I want to do with it, or do a quick trick with it. When I put this back, now I've loaded that gimmick card back on top. Maybe I've gone into my pocket to get a Sharpie, and I say, right, we've got a Sharpie. Actually, let me try one more thing out with the deck. And now I've took the deck out, and I've added that card on top of the deck. So those are like 2 or 3 ways to bring a gimmick into play and take them out of play. I suppose the key thing is don't overwhelm yourself. Don't take too many decks. Don't take too many packs of cards with you, or too many gimmicked cards. You know, you see these people that turn up at gigs and they've got like everything that they ever own from a magical point of view in every single pocket. Don't be that guy. Just take 2 or 3 things and make sure the setup. And you can have one under the cellophane, and you can have one on top of the deck, for example. You know, that you've got options then. You can have a couple of gimmick cards that you can use depending. Oh, and the other thing, sorry, I keep thinking of ideas. There's certain gimmick cards that you can just have in the deck, and they don't affect anything. So, for example, I mentioned Henry Evans' Rising Card gimmick. That can just be there. And I just have it in there as a dupe, because it's always built into a court card. So I'll have it in there as a dupe, and it won't affect shuffling. It won't affect any other tricks. It actually makes it great, because the gimmick actually, the only thing is at one end, it makes it into a bit of a thick card, so to speak. So I can do a Charlier cut like this, and I can just cut the deck, and I can immediately have that card on top ready for when I need it, or to do a really clean card control. So some gimmick cards can actually start off life inside the deck as well, and can just stay there when you're doing whatever else. Okay, I've got one more question from Ben LePage. He says, as a wrestling fan, who's your favourite Mick Foley, face of Foley? Mankind, Dude Love, or Cactus Jack? Man, I'm a Mick Foley mark like you wouldn't believe. I would have to say Dude Love. I would have to say Dude Love. I love Dude Love. I when he did the Dude Love thing, it was brilliant. I actually loved the Royal Rumble. Was it a Royal Rumble? When he came out as all three faces of Foley. That was sick. I loved that. I also loved because Cactus Jack was never in the WWE. He was never in the WWE. It was when he joined as Mankind. And then the Dude Love persona came out. And I might be getting my wrestling history wrong, but I seem to remember I knew of Cactus Jack, obviously, from watching ECW and WCW, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool to see Cactus Jack? And I think I remember the night it actually happened, and I marked out harder than I have for pretty much anything, because he was in a match, and Dude Love was like, no, I can't do this, no, and had this thing on the Titantron, and then he was like, well, let's try this guy. Mankind came out, and he's like, no, I can't do it. And then you just heard the Dude Love music, the Cactus Jack music hit, and it was just epic. The roof blew off the building. So yeah, Mankind is amazing. Mick Foley is amazing. I'd say Dude Love. But then followed very closely by Cactus Jack. Although I love Mankind, let's be honest, Mick Foley is an amazing performer, and as magicians, we can learn so much from watching that man. So the next question is from OM Magic UK, and OM Magic UK says, hey Craig, I store all my magic videos on a hard drive, as like I said, I want everything to be organised. Fair play. I just mentioned that. Nemid does that. Will we be able to download the content from Netrix? Thanks. Yes, I think. Right, maybe you guys can help me out with this. We're dotting the I's and crossing the T's on Netrix. It's official. By the time you see this by the time you see this video, it will be in beta. And it will definitely be in beta by the time you see this video. And one of the things we're trying to decide is to whether make the content downloadable or not. Here's the thing. There are hundreds of hours of stuff on Netrix, and we are committed to adding new content every fortnight. Every fortnight, we're going to be adding a minimum of 5 full magic routines from the various different experts on the various different people on Netrix, if not more, as well as other stuff as well. And there's lots of content that's coming out on a weekly basis. We can make all of it downloadable. The way that we've set it up, it's literally just a case of clicking a button and everything will have a download option and you can download it. We're trying to decide whether to or not, because piracy, but then you kind of think, well, if a pirate wants to get the footage anyway, they're going to get it regardless. Maybe you guys can help me out. I would love to know what you think. Should I make it streaming only? Or should I give people the option of being able to download it? I mean, there's a lot of content. I don't think people will download everything. And we're constantly fit. If you thought there's a lot of stuff on Magic TV, you ain't seen anything yet. So yeah, I mean, let me know. I'm leaning towards having it downloadable. And just kind of thinking, well, if the pirates want to download it, they're going to be able to anyway. But let me know what you guys think. Should I make all of the content on Netrix completely downloadable? I want to know. Let me know in the comments down below. So the next question is from Mr. ZE. How you doing, Mr. ZE? And Mr. ZE has a question. How do you create variety and make coin routines feel more distinct for the audience? There are fewer coin magic plots than cards. For example, lay audiences might not be able to tell the difference between a 3-fly, a coins across, or a coins to glass routine. For them, it's making coins jump from one place to another. So how do you create variety? Okay, so I agree with you. There are less plots. There's a few things that I can say about this. So first of all, you mentioned specifically coins across, 3-fly, and coins to glass. And I do agree that they are very similar. However, if you frame everything presentationally, you can make them very, very different. So for example, Paul Wilson, who's one of my favorite magicians of all time, Paul Wilson said many, many years ago in a manuscript I bought, and this has been my philosophy for years, you should never just do 3-flies as a standalone piece, because people will not realize how impossible 3-fly is. So what he suggests you do, if you're going to go into a 3-fly, do a coins across first. and then transition from a normal coins across into a 3-fly. And that's how you make each coins across different. So if I was going to perform those 3 as a set, I'd probably bring out the coins and say, ladies and gentlemen, the idea is to make the coins jump from here to here. Look at this, that's the first one, blah, 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 blah. So I've made the coins jump across. And then I'd say, now the problem with this is my hands were closed around those coins the whole time. You couldn't see when the coin vanished from here. You couldn't see when the coins vanished from here. So this time I'll hold the coins at the tips of my fingers. And I'll make them jump from the tips of the fingers over here to the tips of the fingers over here. You will see them go. You will feel them arrive. 8 fingers, 2 thumbs, 10 fingernails, 10 knuckles, no sleeves. And I talk fast, so pay attention right there, sir. Do you see the 3 coins? The first one goes. Now I've made it different. It's the same trick, but I've framed it differently. Then at the end of the 3-fly, I might say, now guys, I've made the coins jump from one place to another. I then did it again, but the tips of my fingers. But I know that there's going to be people in the audience that are thinking, well, hang on a second. We're back here. He's over there. Somehow he threw the coin into the other hand and his hands are just fast. And I don't want you leaving this performance today and thinking, well, Craig's got fast hands. That's not the case. So I'm going to do this one more time. But I'm going to do it in a way that it is absolutely impossible for me to cheat. I have a glass over here. Sir, can you check the glass out? We're going to take those coins. We're going to put them over here. I'm going to hold the glass over here. And now I'm going to make the coins go across. But you will hear the second they arrive. That's coin number 1. You see, by using a glass, now we're not just relying on a visual sense, we're relying on an audio sense as well. You can see, you can hear the coins as they arrive. And I would then finish off with the coins to glass. And you framed each one as a completely different thing. I guarantee you the audience wouldn't walk away going, well, hang on a minute, that's the same trick 3 times. Because you've justified the reason for doing that trick 3 times in a different way. That's the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is do a David Roth. If you want to make your coin magic feel more distinct, David Roth made a name for himself by introducing props into his coin magic that were just crazy props. So, I mean, you know, I'm not going to spend hours here talking about it, but the rainbow, if you haven't seen his routine, the rainbow, he's got this rainbow. And he talks about touching the rainbow. And as he touches the rainbow and touches the coins, what happens is the coins change into the color of the rainbow he's touched. And it's a beautiful moment of magic. It really is beautiful. He touches that and the coins become different colors. Look, if I take a piece of yellow and touch that, now that one becomes yellow. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then he's got the final load at the end where there's a pot of gold behind the rainbow. I mean, it's such a beautiful moment of magic, right? And nobody is going to think wild coin. You could do a wild coin earlier on in your act and then do that. Nobody would think wild coin. Take the portable hole, for example. If you actually think about what's happening in a portable hole, the coins are just disappearing and appearing in a purse frame. But the way that he's framed it, it feels like a completely different routine to just making something disappear and appear somewhere else. 2 more examples. I could go on forever. But 2 more examples would be the sleeve. You know, he's got a routine where basically it's a coins across, coins are disappearing and going somewhere else. But he's using the sleeve. He's saying, hey, and it's such an amazing hook. You know, people say that magicians use their sleeves. Well, it's true. I've actually got a magician's sleeve here. And it justifies having that big jumbo coin appear at the end. The world, if you haven't seen the world is great. He's got a little globe, looks like a little pencil sharpener there. And he's got 4 coins. And he set 4 $50. And he says he's going to make them change into different parts of the country. And the first one, he makes it turn into an Italian coin. And it looks almost exactly the same, but when they look at it up front, they can see it's a different coin. The second one is an English coin, and the third one is a Chinese coin. And then they sign a $50, and the final one goes in, all the coins disappear and go inside the globe. Well, basically, that's a wild coin routine mixed to a coin to impossible location. But what they've done there is David Roth has actually framed it, and nobody would think of that. So what can you incorporate into your magic? What props can you incorporate into your coin magic that takes it from a standard coins across into something that's more meaningful for your audience? The other thing that I think of is what can you, like again, and I have to use David Roth because I'm such a David Roth mark. But if you've ever seen his tuning fork, I mean, that's such a beautiful routine that relies on sound completely. You tap the tuning fork, and when you do the coin, go check it out. It's on YouTube. Go check it out. But there, what he's doing is he's using a completely different sense. He's brought a prop in to play. He's still doing coin magic, but now rather than making it a visual thing, he's making an audible thing. So think about how you can do that. I think that's very, very important. And then one other thing that I would suggest is make a list. Get yourself, and this is a Scott Alexander idea, get yourself 100 pieces of paper and write on each piece of paper a different plot that's got nothing to do with coin magic. Ambitious card, drop it in. Sawing a lady in half, drop it in. Hydrostatic glass, drop it in. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get yourself 4 coins. You're going to randomly reach in and take one out. What have we got? Balloon modelling. Okay, well, what can I do with a balloon modelling plot with a coin? Well, hey, you might want to go down the route of Danny Weiser and having like a coin that's got that's been shaped into a balloon dog. Or it might be that you draw a balloon dog on a coin. Or you might draw a balloon on a coin. And now when you rub, the balloon turns into... So you might borrow a coin, for example. This is just formulating in my head. So you might borrow a coin, for example, and or show a coin, and it's a silver dollar. And you say, I'm going to draw a balloon on there. And you draw a balloon on there. And you have them look at it. And you say, have you ever seen a balloon modeler? Now you do a spellbound change. And when you do, it's changed into an actual little balloon dog. Okay? And then you could use one of the little animinimals that Vanishing Ink brought out and pull that balloon dog off. And now you give them the balloon dog and the coin is examinable and everything's examinable. Or, how's this for an idea? You might take a balloon, a coin, and you might draw a balloon on there, and then you bring the coin up to your lips and you blow, and when you do, a balloon appears. And then when you look back at the coin and the balloon's appeared, and it's a little balloon that you've blown up, and now you look back at the coin and the drawing of the balloon's gone. There's so many different things that you can do with coin magic if you just think about it and add a little bit of creativity. Okay, so the next question is for Magic Man, and Magic Man says, do you ever spend time practicing tricks or sleights that you have no intention of ever performing for anyone just for fun? Or do you only spend time learning new things that you know you could do in the real world to help pay the bills? I like playing with card manipulation productions, but I know I'll never use them professionally or even socially. Yeah, man, I practice magic all of the time that I know I'm never going to use. Half of the sleights that, maybe it might be that I don't think I'm ever going to use them. It might be that I have no use for them, but I'd like to learn that move because at some point down the line, I've got an idea for something and that move might be the perfect option. And if I learn it, I've got that in my repertoire. And you never know what that might be. Like I learned basic card manipulation. I hate card manipulation. I see some of it being done really well. But some of it's kind of a little bit generic, and I think a bit old hat. Some of the newer ways it's done is a lot better. I remember that guy from one of the Got Talent shows a couple of years ago. I think it was Britain's Got Talent, where he was like having a nightmare and cards were just appearing and it was freaking him out. That was how I loved that. But very old school, coming out with a hat and a cape and doing all that sort of stuff. I think we've gone past that. But I learned card manipulation because I wanted to learn a back palm. Because I've got a routine that I perform, walk around, that uses a back palm. So I palm a card off and then I hold my hand out and the card's there as I have them put the deck in my hand. It's a whole routine. It's on Netrix. The point I'm trying to make here is you never know when a move might be useful. Now, I've learned loads of moves that I've never used and I probably never will use. But there are lots of moves that I've learned and I have ultimately used. But I'm a student of magic at the end of the day. I love practicing and I love performing, but I love practicing. I love getting a new book and there's some ridiculously complicated move in there, and I'll just literally sit there with a deck of cards in front of the TV with Sarah and the kids, and I'll just be there constantly practicing this new move. Once I've got it down, I've got a move. I don't know if I'm ever going to use it, but I'd rather have access to that move in case I need it rather than not being able to do it. Okay, so the next question is Steve9, and it says, hi Craig, could you do a video of tricks to do down the pub for a hobbyist? Easy to do, even when you've had a few. The reason I ask is I always find myself going back to the same card routines or ash on hand, for example. No problem using cards and props as long as they aren't too big. I recently bought The Call by Wayne Dobson and Turbo Stick, which are great because of the built-in scripts and carry size. Thanks. You know what, Steve? 9. I think that's an amazing idea. I will do a video on that. I'll do like the top 10 best tricks to perform when you're pissed. How's that sound? I think that's awesome. I will say that one of my favorite routines, and it's probably not as really practical really with COVID at the moment, but it's one I used to do for years and years and years to piss my mates off, is Simon Lovell put out a DVD, a VHS through Vic Pinto, and on there he put something called submarine card, and it was just a ridiculous thing where you have a card picked, you do a side steal, you put the cards and you go, look, I'm going to try and find your cards in the most amazing way, and you pick a mate who's got a pint there and you just drop the deck of cards into the pint, and it gets an amazing reaction. You wouldn't want to do it at a gig, but you're asking about what to do when you piss down the pub with your mates, and then you just reach in, you're going to make sure it's I used to use a bridge size cards to do this. They went into the pint glass, and then you just reach into the pint glass with the palmed card and pull it out. I mean, technically, you could just control it to the top of the deck, right? I used to just go in with the palmed card and pull it out and go, was that your card? And everybody would laugh their ass off, and the guy that I was doing it on would be super pissed off, and it made my day. So, yeah, I will do a video on that. I will do a video on the most ridiculous, outlandish tricks that you can do when you're pissed. And then I will perform them to everybody at Blackpool, where I will be pissed. So the next question is from Think Again, and Think Again says, will Netrix have an app, or will it just be a website? Initially on launch, it'll just be a website. However, there's a very good chance we're going to make the content downloadable on there. The other thing is, it is a bit like Netflix in that if you're watching a particular trick at home, for example, on your computer, and then you stop watching it halfway through a particular routine, and then later on you access it on your phone, what you can do is you can go directly on your phone straight into the particular trick that you were learning, and it'll start from that exact same position. It's all mobile friendly, and technically you can have an app because you can add Netrix to your home screen and you can open it up, and it's very mobile optimized and very mobile friendly. But we are planning, we want to get it out first of all, but we are planning on having an app attached to it as well down the line. That's kind of phase 2 of the plan. So yes, eventually it will have an app, but everything works on every type of mobile device brilliantly, and it all cross platforms. Okay, so the next question is from Mark Ringle, and Mark Ringle says, got to keep scouring the Murphys site, still waiting on Craig's new release. Well, I've got several new releases coming out. I'll give you a sneak peek right here. I mentioned this on the podcast on Wednesday. The next thing I've got 2 things coming out before Blackpool. The first is with Alakazam, so check out Alakazam. I'm doing a live launch at the end of January. It's just given me the date for that. So I'm doing a live, in fact, I'll tell you the date. I will tell you the date. Pete's going to kill me. I don't care. I've got it on my calendar, so let me find it. The date for the live launch is... Please tell me Reagan put it on the calendar. Come on, Reagan. Please, please, please tell me you put it on the calendar. Yes, you did. Did you? Yes. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. No, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, it is. It's there. Alakazam launch. So it's on Wednesday, the 26th of January. I'm doing a live launch of my new trick with Alakazam, which is part of their wallet series. Can't wait for you guys to see this. And outside of that, on the Keep Watching Murphys, because the next thing I've got coming out after that is through the 1914. It's their next release. It's going to be coming out on the 7th of February. And this one, you guys are going to absolutely love it. If you loved Visible, which was my last 1914 release, you're going to absolutely love this one as well. So those are the two. Those are the two, right? That's what you're looking for. And then the Murphys thing is going to be hopefully at Blackpool. We'll see. It's going to be very touch and go. Okay, so the next question is from Robert6, and Robert says, you mentioned on a recent video you do cube and bottle without the gimmick. Can you shed some light on that? Absolutely. I haven't got a bag, but for anybody who knows cube and bottle, I'll go through this very quickly. So what you have is, imagine there's a bag here, and I'm not going to talk about the gimmick or what involved, or if you've got cube and bottle, you'll know. But this is actually a Takamiz Asui idea, and it's an incredible idea. The idea is that you set this so that you're 4 moves away from solving it. I use cube 3 because that's how I learned cube magic, but if you do Takamiz's mix, that's fine. So and this is a great way to switch, to change a cube into anything else. So let's say that we've got a cube and we've got a deck of Night Flight cards by Steve Della inside this bag. You start off by saying, guys, inside this bag I have 2 cubes. You reach into the bag and you take out the first cube, and you say, this is a really old cube, it's not been solved in a long time. As you put it back in, you take the first 2 moves out, and then you say, I've got another cube inside this big bag as well, which is brand new. And as you take it out, you do the other 2 moves. So now you're apparently seeing 2 cubes. You then put this back in and you say, which one would you like me to do the magic with, the really old one or the really new one? If you say the old one, you go, okay, I'll leave the old one in the bag, we'll take out the new one. If they say the new one, you go, great, let's take out the new one. And now you can do whatever routine that you want to do with this. And at the end, you can turn that into a deck of cards. Or if you're using a Prop Dog Omnicube, you can turn it into a Prop Dog Omnicube. It's the same way for cubing bottle. So imagine that's the cubing bottle. The only difference is you start with a solved cube with this. So you bring it out and you say, look, I've got 2 cubes inside this bag. I've got this cube, which is brand new. And I've got another cube that's been mixed up. I'll take the mixed up one, I'll put it to one side. We're going to use the brand new one. Now you're ready to do the cube in bottle. So now you get your bottle, you put it in the bag and you're ready. And then when you've done the cube in bottle, you give it to them. And then you can do whatever you want to with this. Or you can leave that cube in the bag, put it to one side, do a solve of this, because the nice thing is, because of how you've done this, you're ready to solve it. And then you can go into the cube in bottle. So that's how it's done without the gimmick. Hopefully that makes sense. I've been purposefully ambiguous. But if you've got cube in bottle, hopefully that'll make sense. Okay, so we've got another cube question here. It's by Tony Croft. Hi, Craig. When's the best time to do the cube in bottle for the bride and groom? I think the best time to do the cube in bottle for the bride and groom is at the beginning of the wedding breakfast. Or at some point in the wedding breakfast. If I'm booked to perform during the wedding breakfast, I will do a set for the head table and I will finish off with cube and bottle. If I'm booked to do drinks reception and I'm not going into the wedding breakfast, I'll do it as the last trick when all of the guests go in for the wedding breakfast, just before the lineup. And when the bride and groom go in and get their big round of applause, I'll hold them back and I'll say, hey, I've got a present for you. Kind of show you one more thing, and I'll do the cube and bottle at that point. I think it has to be one of the last things that you do. It's definitely the last trick of the set that you do, the bride and groom, but it wants to be one of the last things that you do, period, as well, if that makes sense. But that's when I do it. Okay, so the next question is from Joey Miner, and Joey says, what are your thoughts on the YouTube success of your fellow magicians, Peter McKinnon, Chris Ramsey, etc., etc., etc.? Amazing. Anybody who does well on YouTube, for me, they are hard working. If there's one thing I've learned about YouTube, it is not a get rich quick scheme. I have so many people contacting me daily saying, "Oh, I want to do YouTube. I want to do YouTube. I want to get monetized on YouTube." It's not a get rich quick scheme. I work harder creating the content for this channel than I do in anything else I do in any of my businesses. Like by far. And YouTube is not a get rich quick scheme. It's really not. You've got to want to actually perform. You've got to actually want to actually create this content. Sorry, it's if you don't love the content you're creating, and if you don't love the audience in which you are creating this content for, you're just going to get burnt out and ultimately fail. And that's why so many YouTube channels start off strong and then they fizzle out. The reason that happens is because they get negged out, really. And the reason they get so fed up is because they put their heart and soul into creating their content, and they see 10 views, 15 views, 20 views. And it's just like, oh my God, this is just, I could be doing a million other things. And I've been through that in the past, and I still kind of get like that sometimes. It's kind of like staying up until 3 o'clock in the morning editing videos. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I actually doing this? And I remember the reason I'm doing it is because 1, I love magic. 2, I feel like I'm making a difference. 3, I've got something that I want to say. And 4, I read all the comments from all of the people that say Magic TV has really helped them in one aspect or another aspect or another aspect. And that is why I spend all of the time doing it. In terms of other people, Chris Ramsey, inspirational. Daniel Madison, inspirational. Peter McKinnon, inspirational. Anybody who does YouTube and sticks at it and has a schedule and sticks to that schedule and continues to put them out every single day, rain and shine, no matter what, I have all the respect in the world for them. So the next question is from Nico. Nico says, if someone asks for help, please don't tell him to say all the cards are different, for fuck's sake. Or FFS, which I'm guessing is for fuck's sake. I think he's talking about last week's video where I said, hey, all the cards are there, they're all different. That's just something that I say from time to time. I know that there's some magicians that say you shouldn't say they're all different because it's stating the obvious and it's drawing attention to the fact that all the cards are different, and now you're going to put into the mind of the spectator that all the cards are different. And to that person I say, you've obviously never worked in the real world. Because if you work in the real world, you know, that immediately that's what people are going to think. You just go, hey guys, I've got a deck of 52 cards, they're all there, they're all different. Do me a favour, sir, give those cards a shuffle. Fantastic. Make sure they're all there. Take your time, I get paid by the hour, that would be absolutely fantastic. And give the cards a shuffle. When you finish shuffling them, put them back in the original order. Boom, 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 boom. Now, is that the style that I'm going to use when I'm sitting down and performing in a parlour situation? No. But when I'm in a room with 200 or 300 people and I'm just going boom, 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 going from one group to another group to another group, I've got no problem saying that. And it's not an issue if you don't like it, that's cool. I get why you don't like it. But here's the thing, and it's the same with my reviews. This is only my opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. It's only my opinion. The advice I'm giving here in this Q&A is just stuff that's worked for me. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's correct. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But I'm telling you right now, you know, Nico, I could go to a gig, any gig, in front of anybody, and I could turn around and take a deck of cards out and go, they're all there, they're all different, and I promise you, they're going to think it's one of the best performances they've ever seen. So theory is great, but when you're in the real world, sometimes there's certain factors that supersede theory. So next question is from Tom Marquette, and Tom Marquette says, best trick with a classic pass. I answered this on the podcast a little while ago. The best trick with a classic pass, in my opinion, is Smiling Mule. I put it on the channel a little bit recently. I think it just makes sense. I just think it makes sense. I think that you can't replicate that with anything else other than the classic pass. And I think it's such a awesome routine, especially when you're using a mem deck. There is one other thing that I'll say. Have you guys read James Swain? Is it James Swain or Jim Swain? I think it's James Swain, 21st Century Card Magic. Great book, fantastic book. And you guys know Color Monty, right? So the whole idea of, hey, I've got 3 cards. I've got a black 10 of spades, I've got a black 10 of spades, and I've got a 6 of hearts. You know, where's the 6 of, or something like that. You know, I haven't done Color Monty in a while, to be honest. And then you say, look, I'm going to take the 6 of hearts and put it to the bottom. Where's the 6 of hearts? It's on the bottom. No, it's not. That's the 10 of spades. Oh, right, then it's got to be on the top. No, that's the 10 of spades. It's got to be in the middle. No, that's the 10 of spades. That routine, right? Classic routine. Absolutely fantastic. Here's the thing. I hate this sequence here, where you show this card on the bottom and you do the alignment move, and then you show the card on top, and then you show the card in the middle. I kind of hate that move, and I always have. And if you ever catch me doing Color Monty in the real world, and I've taught Color Monty sometimes on a couple of projects, and I don't teach this version just because it's not mine to teach, really. I tend to use James Swain's version from 21st Century Card Magic, which uses a classic pass. And if you haven't seen this, it's great. I don't know how this is going to show up from this angle, but if you do Color Monty, try this. Okay, so if you do Color Monty, try this. So we're talking about the moment where you show the card at the bottom, you do the alignment move, you show the double on top by stripping the top and the bottom card out, and then you put the double on top and you just turn over the middle card to show a 10, right? Instead of doing that, show the card on the bottom, but as you show the card on the bottom, get a break with your thumb, just to make this easy. Show the card on the bottom and then do a classic pass as you show the top card. So what's happening here is you're doing a classic pass as you show the top card. So you're actually taking a double off the bottom and showing it, and then you're showing the middle card. So in full speed, and as I say, I don't know how it's going to look on camera, but in full speed, you say, so you're probably wondering, where's the 10? It's on the bottom. That's correct, it's on the bottom. But you know what? Also, the 10 is on the top, and also the 10 is in the middle. It looks far more deceptive than doing this whole alignment move, which kind of looks really weird, right? And for me, that's the best use of the classic pass, because that's the best way that I've ever seen to do that false count. So again, try it if you like it. And if you see me, stop me and say, show me that, because it looks really good. I don't know how it's going to look on camera, but it looks really good. You just want to keep the deck tilted towards the audience a bit, but you show the bottom card, and then you just show the top card, and then you just show the middle card, and it's great. So when you're talking about a classic pass, that is an absolutely amazing use of a classic pass, and you can learn it from 21st century card magic. Okay, so the next question is from Mikey Anno. Can you talk on the next Q&A about forecast, which was teased on the Orphic video instructions? No, I can't. I think D would kill me. I will tell you, it's the ultimate prediction system. It is designed to be done in the real world. It is a killer. There's two things that you can do with this that I include on the project, but then there's other things that you can do with it as well that I talk about. But there's two main routines I do, which is a very, very clean. I don't even want to. When I'm going to speak to D this week, if D gives me permission to talk about it, I'll talk about it a bit for you. But look, as good as Visible was, and I'm so proud of Visible, and I'm so happy that people continue to buy Visible. And I was told by Murphy's Magic the other day that Visible is responsible for a worldwide invisible deck shortage. And I couldn't be happier about that, because that was the purpose of Visible, to get more people to buy and use invisible decks in different ways. As proud as I was about Visible, Forecast, man, I'm probably 20 times more excited for you guys to see this, and it's typical 1914 in terms of the instructions and everything. I think you're going to really like it. I think a lot of people are going to start doing this at gigs. It's designed to be done walk around. It's an instant reset. Magic happens in the spectator's hands. All that good stuff. Okay, so the final question is by Luke Jones, and Luke says, could you do a video on ideas or routines that you could do with the out to lunch principle? I think out to lunch is underused. I haven't really seen much ideas using the principle. Absolutely. I will 100% be doing a video on out to lunch. It's actually something that's on the top of my board. I've got a board. Not that one. That's the Netrix board. I have a board, and it's right at the top, which means it's going to be very close to being filmed. I would imagine that this video will drop either the end of January or early February. And it's going to be a little bit like the Quiver video, in that there's going to be about 10 or 15 uses for out to lunch. If you've not really seen much with the out to lunch, one of my favourite things is something that Sankey does, and he uses out to lunch with a business card, and he uses it as kind of a memory thing. He uses it as a pseudo-hypnosis thing. So what he does is he takes it, and if you know out to lunch, you'll get this. On the half card, he writes 4 symbols. And then on the card underneath, on top of the stack, he writes 3 symbols. And the presentation is he has the stack of cards in his pocket, and he says, I'm going to try and take your memory away from you. I'm going to take your memory away from you. Let me just take a business card. I'm going to draw some symbols on here. Okay. I'm not going to let anyone see other than you. These are the symbols. Can you see those? Yes. I want you to try and remember them. Don't say anything, just remember the symbols. He says, take the pen and just sign your name right there. Just so that you when you've committed those to memory, sign your name so I know it's committed to memory. It's signed. Brilliant. I'm going to take your signed card. I'm going to give it to you. Don't let him see it anymore. Can you take that signed card? Do you see the signature on there? Yes. Now, I'm going to take one of your memories away. Done. Tell me, name one of the symbols. Square. Is there a square there? Yes. Name the next symbol. A circle. Is there a circle there? Yes. Name the next symbol. A triangle. Is there a triangle there? Yes. Name the next symbol. There is no other symbol. Is there another symbol? Yes. Is that his signed card? Yes. You don't see another symbol? No. How can you not see another symbol? And it's a real moment of strange, and it's a great Jay Sankey routine. It's one of my favourite ways to actually do out of this world. So try that. If you haven't tried that, don't always think about a visual change. A lot of people think with out of this world, oh, it's a visual change. They signed a card and it changes from one thing to another. But you can do it as a psychological thing, which is what Jay's done here. And I've got several applications of that concept. But yeah, try that out because it's really good. But I'll put a full video on soon. So there you go, guys. That is another Q&A in the bag. Lots of really awesome questions this week. Once again, thank you so much if you've taken the time to ask a question on this channel. If you've taken the time to comment and not be an arsehole on this channel, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I create this content and produce this content for people like you. Now, if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget, you know what you got to do. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Don't forget, you can go onto www.magictv.org. You can fill in the contact form click Netrix and we'll let you know when it goes live. It is coming soon. Don't forget, I'm going to be back today with 3 more videos. At 2 o'clock, I'm going to be here with the shorts. It's going to be a riddle. See if you can get it. At 6 o'clock, there's going to be a live, and then at 9 o'clock, I'm here with a review show special where I'm going to be reviewing 2 products. And there's going to be interviews with the 2 creators. I'm not going to tell you what the products are, but you're going to get a mini interview with Paul Brook, one of the best tricks that I've ever seen that's part of an everyday carry. If you want a good everyday carry trick, you have to check this out. And also, I'm going to be speaking to Danny Weiser about one of probably the best trick that he's ever created. And that's saying something because he's really prolific. So that's at 9 o'clock tonight. And then on Monday, I'm going to be here with a 5x5 on Monday, a shorts at 2 o'clock, and at 6 o'clock, a live. Once again, thank you so much for joining me here on Magic TV. I'll see you again soon. My name's Craig from Magic TV.